everyone. We are going to attempt to do this and hopefully it'll be successful. And if it's successful, then we will do more of them, because the last thing that I want to do is drag you in on a weekend. However, there is some things that we need to get done. So we are going to do this. I'm wearing pajamas, so we're casual. Feel free to stop this and come back to it later. Y'all know I'm long-winded, but you are going to need a few things for the meeting itself. Definitely a pen or pencil, and definitely a couple of pieces of paper. And when I say a couple of pieces of paper, not one paper front and back, you're going to need a couple, because there's one you're going to hold on to, at least one, and then there's paper to turn into me. So grab those, make sure that you have everything that you need. Pause if you need to go get what you need, and then come back. All right, we are going to start. The main purpose of me doing this meeting today, honestly, is because I have failed you. And the way that I have failed, I've probably failed you in more than one way, but the way that I have failed you in the purpose of this meeting is to create a new employee handbook. And the reason that we need to do that is because we have a lot of people who are not following Dunkin' rules and procedures. And I really believe that that has come from telephone. It's come from years of everybody kind of making changes on their own and making adjustments. But these little changes over time have made it to where it's no longer the Dunkin' that I created. And unfortunately for you guys, I'm the one that pays all the bills, so I'm the one that gets to make the rules. So with that being said, that is, if we create a new employee handbook, I want to be fair. I want to be understanding and supportive, but there are things that need to be changed. There are some employees that we have right now that, for whatever reason, are not up to my standard. And I hired 2 new girls this week, and certainly I don't want to get rid of people. However, I have spent 20 years building this dream. I have spent 20 years building this school. I have spent 20 years building this reputation. And for some of you, this might be a fleeting moment in your journey, but the decisions and the choices that you make while you're in my building and in my school can affect me for years to come. So we're gonna get all of this out. We're gonna write this new handbook. You're gonna know exactly what your expectation is, and if the expectation isn't met, then you're just not gonna stay. And it's not gonna be moving classrooms, it's not gonna be cutting your hours, it's not gonna be changing your schedule, you're just gonna go. And I hate to be that way, but also there are several of you who come in every single day and give all you've got, and you do the one thing that I have said for 20 years. And the one thing that I have said for 20 years is put the kids first. If we put the kids first, everything else works out. If you are not worried about yourself and thinking about getting on Instagram or looking at TikToks while you're working, but actually focusing on, hey, this 3-year-old can learn from me during the time that they're here today. I can make a difference in this 3-year-old's life. I can provide safety and security and an adult who cares in this person's life while I have them in my care. Everything else is going to work out. That's all we have to do. That's it. Put them first. That's it. If we put them first, safety happens. If we put them first, health happens. If we put them first, sanitation happens. If we put them first, learning happens. If we put them first, love happens. And those are the things that I built Dunkin' Academy for. So the way that this is gonna work is I wanna kind of tell you the things that I have written for the new handbook. I have a lot of it done, but I also think that it would be great to get your input. I think that it matters, and I think that while I have been in every single classroom and while I have taught every age child, I haven't been in college in 30 years. I've owned Dunkin' for 20 years, and things do change. And I want to be part of a solution and helpful to you and not part of a problem. So Okay, so in the new employee handbook, the first things that we're gonna do, and I'll let you know, don't feel like you need to write a bunch of notes. I'll tell you the things that are important. So it's going to contain information about ratios. Do you know what ratios are? Does everybody know what ratios are? Let me inform you if you don't. The infant room and the toddler room. So the ducklings and the tadpoles, their rooms are a 1-to-4 ratio, meaning one teacher with 4 kids, okay? When we go to the monkey room, so the choose rooms, it is a 1-to-8 ratio, so 8 children to 1 teacher. And then when we move to the dragonflies and bumblebee classes, we have a 1-to-10 ratio. The ladybug class is a little bit different. When children are 5, you can have 16 of them with 1 teacher. So school age is all 16 to 1. Ladybugs, we can do a class that we have a section of kids of 16 if they're 5-year-olds, and then if they're 4-year-olds, then there's 10. So we know ratios, and those will be included. Conscious discipline. Conscious discipline is basically the foundation for how I want children to learn to manage their emotions. Guys, we have a whole generation, more than one generation of people who can't even parent their own children effectively with their emotions because we can't handle their own. And I am guilty of it. Nobody taught me when I was a child that how to manage my emotions. No one taught me about deep breaths. No one taught me about taking sensory breaks. Nobody taught me about walking away. Those were just not things. And I come from a mom who's a teacher. Those are things that we have learned are so important, and we are the ones that have to start that foundation. If we do not do this in the first 5 years, which is when the most amount of learning occurs in an entire human life. Did you know that? The most amount of learning that occurs in your entire life occurs in the first 5 years, which means you are teaching the most important skills that a person will have for the rest of their lives. You are doing that. That is your job. If you come in and you think this is, lame, or this is boring, or whatever you may think, you do not understand the responsibility that you have, and you do not understand the honor that you have. Early childhood changes kids' lives. And when we're changing kids' lives, what happens as they get older? We've changed their whole life, right? We don't have grown men who get angry and hit their wives. We don't have grown men who get angry and scream at their wives. We don't have grown men who get angry and break things. And yes, I'm picking on guys right now, but I'm going through a divorce, so I'm allowed to. However, that starts young. Not only are they watching what they're seeing at home, guys, some of you spend 50 hours a week with these kids. Some of you spend more time with these kids awake than their parents. Are you setting an example that you want them to follow? Are you leading them? Okay. All right. So there will be a section in the employee handbook for conscious discipline. The next thing will be employer requirements. When I talk about employee requirements, what are the requirements to work at Dunkin'? So we have a TB test, we have a physical exam, we have fingerprinting, we have a background check, we have 12 hours of training that has to be done annually, which breaks down to 1 training hour a month. We have CPR training. So there's a lot of things that go into working at Dunkin', and there's going to be a section that's going to lay that out for all of our employees, especially new employees, to say, here's what you need. I am going to go into office staff and who you talk to about what. So if you have a certain question, who do you address it to? Who can answer that question for you, okay? And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Employee benefits. I have employees who have worked for me for 5 or 6 months, and then they say, do we get any kind of day off, or do we get any kind of paid days, or do we get, yes, you absolutely do. So in the book, there's going to be an entire section on employee benefits, and I have to kind of address this. Okay, so you're paid holidays each year. New Year's Day, Good Friday, though Good Friday does have a little bit of information that has to be addressed to get paid for Good Friday. Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. That's 7 paid holidays a year that you get paid for if you've worked for us for 90 days. So if you come to work for us July 1st, you won't get paid July 4th. But if you've been there 90 days as of July 4th, you'll get paid for July 4th. The only thing about that is if the holiday does not fall on a day you normally work. So let's say that you're normally off Mondays and Memorial Day falls on Monday, you wouldn't get paid for that because obviously I would be paying more people than I would if we were open. If you have questions about that, let me know. I am changing the way that we do employee benefits. So instead of saying you get the amount of hours that you work in vacation or sick time or PTO time or whatever you want to call it, what we're going to do is every 30 hours that you work, you earn 1 hour of PTO. And PTO is paid time off. So whether that be in vacation time, whether that be in sick time, whether that be in just personal days, whatever that is. So let's say you work 30 hours. You want to say how many hours is that? You could earn 50 hours of paid vacation in 1 year. So basically how that would happen is if you worked 40 hours a week for 51 weeks, because we're closed 7 holidays, if you did that, you would earn 50 hours of paid time off a year for the first year, okay? I'm going to add additional hours when you are at 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, okay? And I'm sitting down with every employee, and we're gonna talk about that, and we will go over where you are, because I don't wanna say we're starting this new, so Nikki, who's been at Dunkin' for 19 years, you only get 50 hours this year if you worked all the time you're supposed to, which Nikki never takes time off anyway, but still, just as an example. So the way that I have it is 50 hours the first 2 years. After 3 years, you get 60 hours. After 5 years, you get 75 hours. After 10 years, you get 100 hours, okay? This is gonna coincide with an annual review with a raises rubric, meaning we will sit down together every single year. Every single year, we will sit down together and we will go over, here's where your strengths are, here's where your weaknesses are. The things that I'll be looking for in that rubric are, is your training current? Have the requirements been met for employment? Your absences and tardiness, your job performance, and by that, willingness to help when and where needed, getting along with coworkers, interaction with parents, complaints versus compliments, and participating in things that Dunkin' does. Do you come to the other things that we offer, or do you do the bare minimum? Okay, we're gonna do that every single year, and raises will be based upon that. So let's say you make $10 an hour, which nobody makes $10 an hour, but let's say you make $10 an hour. The lowest raise that you get is a 3% raise, which they call those cost of living raises. And that's what most corporations and people do every year, a 3% cost of living raise. That would only be 30 cents. However, we can make them much more than that. Okay, but those are the things that we'll go over, and that rubric will be included in your handbook, so you know from day one, how do I get a raise? What can I do to be better? Okay. Other things in the handbook, new employee information to help new employees so they know exactly things that we take for granted, and I'm doing it all the time. Just like GroupMe, that will be included in there. Add to GroupMe, add to the Facebook page. Using ProCare, having direct deposit, so those kinds of things. Phone usage, it will be an argument till the day that I die, I swear. because as much as you all know what you should and shouldn't be doing, it's still happening. The amount of times that I will pop on camera to check something or to check in, or if I'm being honest, to look at Georgia, especially when I'm having treatments and I'm sitting there all day and I can see on the girls sitting there what they're looking at on their phone. Like, it's so obvious, you can see it. It's unreal. So, and then state laws. What are the state laws? The things that are important. Instead of, you guys are welcome at any time. We have a copy of the state law book in the office, but also you can access it online. Just look at Missouri Child Care Center's licensing handbook, and feel free to read through it. It is so boring and it is so monotonous, and there are so many things that are not addressed in it. But there are things that are. But also feel free to ask. But here's the thing. Don't just ask anybody. Don't say, hey, the girl that's worked here for 3 weeks told me that the state law is this. Okay? All right. The next thing that we're going to talk about, which really isn't in order, but I'm going to address that right now, is Good Friday. How we're doing Good Friday different this year. I always closed on Good Friday for 2 reasons. One, my staff does not actually have like a paid opportunity to have a day off from New Year's Day until Memorial Day. And that was a long time. So I wanted us to have like a break. We've had some breaks this year because we've been closed for snow days, like 4 or 5 days this year. But Good Friday has always been like a deep cleaning day at Duncan. This year, it is going to be even more important because here's the deal, guys. The schools are canceling giving the kids off Good Friday, which means all the teachers are working and all the people who are normally off on Good Friday are going to be working, and yet we're going to be closed. So if we're going to be closed and we have to be in there doing the thing, working and doing things, instead of saying to parents like, oh, sorry, we closed, but we're hanging out. You know, we don't have anything going on. But also because it needs done. So this weekend, and I'll post in GroupMe in a little bit, this weekend, my brother painted all the hallways. We took all the stuff off the walls, and they are completely done. They look fabulous. No more staples. No, like literally, I'm just saying right now, no more staples. No more staples. If something happens and you need a staple, I'm not kidding, you have to ask, because my brother said that what has happened is staple over staple over staple over staple, and it's tearing down the sheetrock. So you put in several holes at one time, and that little tiny hole became a bigger hole and a bigger hole and a bigger hole. And 20 years worth of staples is a long time. So if anyone sees Ashley Benny with a stapler, please take it away from her immediately. Okay. So the way that Good Friday is going to work is it is a cleaning day. You have 2 options to earn money on Good Friday. The way that you can earn money on Good Friday is you can clean. We will have a sign-up sheet. If you clean for 2 hours, you get paid for 4 hours. So you're getting double time, okay? So if you come in and you spend 2 hours of your day, of your time, you go in the morning, you clean from 8 to 10 in the morning, you have the rest of the day off, but you got paid for 4 hours. However, I'm gonna up the ante. If on Good Friday, so you basically have a month, all of your training is current, meaning nothing is outstanding from last year, and this year, we're in January, February, and I'm just gonna say March, okay? It'll be the end of April by the time Good Friday is here, because Good Friday is very late this year. It's like April 24th. However, we're gonna say 3. You have to have 3 training hours for this year, plus all of your training current for last year, if you were on last year, and I will let you know if you're not. You'll get paid more than double time. So if you clean 3 hours, you'll get paid 9, okay? So the goal is to still get a day off. I'm not trying to take up your whole day, but you also have to do the work. If you do not have your training done, use that day to get it caught up, okay? You guys have had plenty of days. You've had snow days, right now I am at, I believe 9 hours for the year, and we're the second week in March, so we had to have 3 and I'm at 9. I'm doing a 5-hour class in April that I put out for anybody to take, which will give me 14. I'm only required 12. My Safe Sleep is due this year, so that's going to give me another 1 or 2. And then I will renew my CPR. So I'll end around 20 hours a year, and that's pretty normal for me. But I'm just saying, if I have the time to do it with all the things going in my life, you have the time too. Okay. There are only 2 times that your Good Friday cleaning can be done this year. Ready? Thursday night after we close. So at 5:30, if you decide on Thursday night, I want to have a 3-day weekend, I'm going to stay and clean from 5:30 to 8:30 or 6 to 9 on Thursday night. You will be dismissed for Friday and have the day off, okay? Or on Friday. That's it. That's it. Can't be done a week early. Can't be done during your shift. Can't be done when the kids are napping. That's it. Period. Okay? Unfortunately, the way that CPR has always been done is changing. I've had the same lady for 20 years, and they let her go when Desi took over in the last year. It's been a complete mess. But CPR is now online, so you do all the training online, and then we come together for the testing. I am trying to get that testing scheduled 1 of 2 times. Either that Friday, so people have the option to come in and do their testing and their cleaning the same time, and then a second option at a nap time one day. I will let you know as soon as I know, but I do not know the person I'm dealing with, and I had to email her, and I'm waiting for a response. So I'll just let you know that. Okay. Closing out your rooms. Guys, closing out your rooms is getting ready to be 4 days a week, okay? Jordan has been cleaning for me. If you don't know Jordan worked for us for like 10 years. She is now a special education teacher at Cordell Mason, but she is 8 months pregnant. And when she goes on maternity leave, I'm not gonna have her come back. So we have about 4 more weeks, maybe. And then we're going to cleaning Monday through Thursday. I had a cleaning company, and here is the problem that we have with the cleaning company. The cleaning company charges me outrageous amounts of money, and then after a few weeks, they stop sending 3 or 4 people. They go down to 2 people. They go down to 1 person, and the job is not getting done, okay? I used to have people clean during the evenings for extra money. But again, I am not consistently having the job done the way that I would like it done. You will not clean on the weekends. I have an outstanding weekend cleaner, and I'm not changing anything there. So Monday through Thursday, we will have clean nights, and this is what it will look like. Are you ready? All your tables washed and sanitized. These are 2 different things. Washed and sanitized are not the same thing. Everybody should have, and this is a state regulation, 3-step bottles. One says rinse, one says soapy water, one says bleach. That should be happening for every single table, okay? That should be happening all the time, okay? Soap and water will clean the table, but you have to use the bleach mix to sanitize to get, flu A was rampant in our building. Norovirus was rampant in our building. Yes, they spread easily from kid to kid and person to person, but also, are we doing our part? Are we doing our part as much as we possibly can to contain that? Okay? So all tables washed and sanitized, all chairs stacked, windows closed, floors swept and mopped. The smaller classrooms will clean their own bathrooms. And I had a teacher say, well, that doesn't seem fair because the bigger classes don't have to clean restrooms. They have twice the size of a classroom as you guys do. They have twice the amount of time, the amount of space to sweep and mop, twice the amount of tables, twice the amount of chairs. So I feel like it's a fair trade-off, okay? Your trash emptied and your lights off. That's closing out your room. That is what closing out your room looks like. Tables, chairs, windows, floors, bathrooms, trash, lights. That's it, okay? After all of this is complete, then you clock out. You don't go sit in a room and visit your friends for 20 minutes because you know what's happening? We're just changing your time. We're no longer paying people to sit in another room. We're no longer paying people to go visit with their friends. Like, it's stealing. I've already had this talk once, and it may not seem like a lot, but 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week is 50 minutes. And if 10 of you do it, that's 500 minutes a week. It's not fair. It's not fair. So, okay. All right. I'm going to talk about, and I said this a little bit before, excuse the noise in the background. My 16-year-old is playing pool. Sorry about that. Okay. What does it mean when I say, this is my school, things have gotten away from what we were and where we are? Part of that means leaving the things in the classroom that are in the classroom. We are required by law to have a certain amount of equipment and a certain amount of belongings in the classroom, okay? Every single person, to get credit for this meeting, is going to fill this out, okay? And what this is it's an equipment list, and this is required for our state licensing. But what it says is, for every 10 children, there has to be 40 items in each of these categories, okay? So if you are a Dragonfly teacher, okay, you have to have 40 items of dramatic and housekeeping play. It does not say, I have 40 dishes, that's it. Nope. It's dishes are one item, baby dolls are another item, a classroom kitchen would be another item, pots and pans would be another item, dress up would be another item. That's what it is. It's not I have 40 dolls, period. Nope, that's not what it is. If you read, it literally says the 40 items shall include at least 4 items from each category. List each item in only one category. So you can't use them in more than one. And it's not like a set of magnet tiles is one item. Okay? So if you are a dragon, or if you are a bumblebee teacher, you have to have, instead of having 40, you have to have 80 because you have 20 kids. Okay? If you are taking things out of your classroom, how do you have 80 dramatic and housekeeping items, 80 manipulatives, 80 creative arts, 80 library and language, 80 large muscle inside and outside, 80 construction blocks and transportation, 80 music and rhythm, 80 science and sensory? Okay? You don't. You don't. That's how you don't. So if you're going to have 8 different items, so 10 for each, and 8 different items, if you are taking things out of your room, you don't. I purchased those things. I paid for those things. Those things belong in the room. If you set it outside of your classroom, that's not in your room. Toddlers, if it's setting outside of the gated area, it's not in your room. The soft play blocks are required in infant and toddlers. I've had teachers before that have been like, well, they fall over them or they climb over them. What's our job? Our job is to teach them how to appropriately play. Our job is to teach them how to appropriately interact with other kids. So instead of saying, oh, I took the kitchen out because all they did is argue over it. Unfortunately, that's a failure on your part because you are not teaching them the way to share and appropriately play. If you don't know how to do that, that's when you come to me, okay, and say, Allie, I am really struggling. How do I do this? What does this look like? The amount of resources that you guys have available to you to learn and to be better is I used to spend hours. I made $5 an hour teaching. I made $5 an hour as an assistant director. Y'all don't need to hear about how old I am and in the good old days. But what I'm telling you is the amount of time that I spent prepping for what I was coming in to do. okay? All right, so equipment lists, you need to pick them up next week, fill them out. Let's say you are, I'm gonna pick on Mr. Max. Let's say you're Mr. Max and Mr. Max is like, well, Leah did this, I don't have to worry about it. Yes, you do. You absolutely do. Everybody that's in this class, everybody that's a Ladybug teacher can participate in these, okay? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have spots for 8 of you to contribute. Aaliyah can fill in what's in dramatic play. Mr. Max can fill in what's large and motor skills. Jen can fill out what comes in blocks and transportation. Jessica can figure out what's in manipulatives. I don't want one person filling this out. I want everybody contributing to this, okay? If you work in a classroom, the main class that you are in, contribute to it. If you have questions about where to contribute to it, again, let me know. Okay, moving on from there. Okay, so removing things from the classroom is a no. We are getting ready to clean out the basement again. Guys, I'm getting rid of most of the stuff, if I'm being honest. Most of the stuff that's down there, I'm getting rid of because you don't come down and use it. I literally will walk down and there's a sign that says bees and whatever toy, I'm just pulling bees. I'm not picking on bees, but it'll say bees and the amount of the things that are labeled under bees have not been changed in 2 years. Why are we storing it? Like it's just a hot mess down there and I'm not doing it. That also goes along with don't put anything in the basement. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. If you have something that you need to get rid of, don't say, oh, this is broken. Why are you taking broken stuff downstairs? Why? Why? No. Bring it up to the office and say, hey, we no longer want this in our classroom. Here's the reason. Or this is broken, can we throw it away? Or Nikki said, we can take this out. Where should it go? Maybe it goes to another room. Maybe it goes in the trash. Maybe at that point it goes to the basement. I do know that like during dramatic play, we do take things down to rotate. When was the last time toys were rotated? We used to have a rotating schedule of toys so that they wouldn't get bored with the same toys over and over. That's not a hard thing to do, okay? I know like bumblebees have giant Legos. I am sure that there are times, and there probably has been, that ladybugs would love to play with those. However, we also have to ask ourselves, and this is very easy. They make this thing called Google. Is it developmentally appropriate for the age of the kids that I have? Am I asking too much of them? Can they do this? Okay? All right. Another thing. If you know me, you know I thrive on kindness. I thrive on kindness. This means being kind to everybody. You do not have to be friends with all of your coworkers. You don't have to be friends with any of your coworkers, but you're going to be kind in my building. You're going to be kind. The snarky comments, the passive aggressiveness, the just plain rudeness. It's just done. I'm just done with it. I'm just done with it. You are going to be kind. Okay? That's what Duncan is. And we're not modeling it, then we're not teaching it. You certainly are not going to tell school-agers that they are in trouble for being mean to each other and then be mean to another teacher. It's not going to happen. Nope. All right. That's for all ages. Okay. Also, staying in your classroom. The amount of I gave a tour the other day and I turned the corner at 4:30 and it looked like you guys were all waiting for a train to come down the hallway. You're all standing in your doors waiting for it to show up because it's going to pick you up. It was embarrassing, if I'm being honest. The mother is the school counselor at Prairie Branch and the father was the head principal at Matthews, and I had a bunch of people waiting to hop on the train. None of them were in their classrooms teaching their kids. None of them were sitting down involved. They're all standing in the room. Stay in your classroom, and for all that, stay in your lane. just stay there. Just stay there. When you go to the right, someone runs into you. When you go to the left, you run off the road. Just stay in your lane. That's all you gotta do. Your classroom doors, it is a state requirement for them to be closed. Period. I understand that during pickup, parents prop the doors open, parents, I also understand if you are in that very front room, God love you, Emily, it gets very cold and having the door open makes a difference, and I am completely fine with that. But in general, is it easier for a child to elope or escape from your classroom if the door is closed? No, it's not. It's not. Emily sent me, and I don't mean to pick on you, Em, but Emily sent me a very, very, very kind text when I was out, I believe last week. I don't know if was it my treatment day that I was out, I believe. Anyway, she felt absolutely horrible. She was taking her class down to Yvette's class, and Shakiley was slow or was doing whatever that Shakiley does, God love her, and she did not come down with the group. So she's in the classroom. The only way, there are two ways that we do to prevent that. And I promise you, for as long as Emily's there, that'll never happen again, because she was so upset about it and felt so guilty about it. And we are human. We make mistakes. I make them all the time. I will not pretend that anything that has happened in that building I have not done at some point in my life, because I'm sure I have. But once it happens to you, it changes everything. Be the last one out of your classroom. Be the last. If you are at the front of the line and you have 8 children behind you, you can turn the corner and you can't see these kids over here. It's easy for them to wander off to the office, for them to go down the hall the other way, for them to bolt to the multi-purpose room. But if you can see in front of you, I have 8 children, then I know that I have everyone. The other thing, and this is the thing that would have been where we would have gotten in trouble, is name to face. If you are out of your room, you are supposed to name to face. I left the classroom. I checked everybody's name to face. I arrived right around the hall. I checked everyone's name to face. It sounds silly, but it ensures I have everybody, okay? That was a very minor thing, and again, things like that happen, but it could be major. It is very possible, especially when you're outside. Especially when you're outside. If you walk into the building and you have 15 kids behind you walking into the building, and one decides they're over here doing something else and the door gets closed and they're out there by themselves. 2 things. Did you walk behind them to ensure they were all inside? And did you name to face when you left outside and when you got in your room? Okay? That is the whole purpose for name to face. And it is a state requirement. All right. Along with kindness. Guys, we can have constructive conversations when needed without pointing somebody's faults out. And let's say someone comes to you and has a constructive conversation and they say, hey, listen, I'm really struggling. I saw you do this with a kid and I didn't like it. It didn't set well with me. It bothered me. Here is my concern with it. If a teacher comes to you and says that, and your response is, well, you do this and this and this, what is that accomplishing? No accountability, no responsibility, and there is nothing constructive going on there. Okay? If you do not feel like you absolutely have the ability to defend yourself, and you absolutely can say, I'm sorry you feel that way. Here is why I did this. Or, I'm sorry you feel that way. That will not happen again. Here is what I've learned from this. The whole point in our entire lives is to become the best version of ourselves. And in this situation, it's no different. Okay? Taking pride in your classroom. Taking pride in that building. Taking pride in the vans. Taking pride in Duncan. How do you do them? How do you do that? By caring about what it looks like. By caring about what you look like. By caring about what your classroom looks like. I used to say my biggest pet peeve. I have a lot of them, so I'm not going to say that. But I will tell you, and this is a hint for something later, so you may want to make note of it. Do not decide, oh, it's nice out, we're going to go outside or go anywhere else and leave a mess in your room. Parents come in to get their kids and your room is trashed and you're not even in there. Okay? If you are done, just like in life and just like with what we tell the kids, we're done with this, we clean it up, and then we move on. Do not leave a mess in your classroom. Take pride in what you're doing. Take pride. Be proud. I want you to. I want you to be proud that you're a Duncan teacher. You should be proud. I've fought for 20 years to make this school what it is. Okay? Take pride in that. Same thing with the vans. It is so embarrassing for someone to get in a van and then be like, and be like, oh, this is dirty, or this is a mess, or this is a, okay. It is not hard to pick up our trash. It is not hard to throw stuff away. Take pride in it. But also this means wanting to be a part of Duncan. Participating in the things that we do. Graduation, the fall festival, the Christmas program, parents' night out. Do I expect this to take over your life? No, I don't expect it to take over your life. But I'm mentioning 5 things in 12 months. Okay? That is not a lot to ask, and you get paid for them. All right. Also in the employee handbook, it is going to literally be labeled like this, but this is important for you to know. Let me repeat that. This is important for you to know. What do you do when you enter the building? Okay? I'm going to tell you step by step. What do you do when you enter the building? First of all, when does really your pride and your reputation and your involvement in Duncan start? Does it start when you enter the building, or does it start in the parking lot? If you are refusing to talk to anybody in the parking lot and parents and kids are saying hi and you are not talking to them until you clock in, what does that say about you? It's not hard. This is not hard. Greet parents and kids and coworkers. It's the first thing that should happen when you enter the building, or even in the parking lot. Greet parents, greet the kids, greet your coworkers. Okay? Step 1. First thing. Second thing, you ready? Ready? Listen, are you ready for it? Use the restroom. Get your food and drink for the day ready. Instead of clocking in, going to the kitchen, warming you up your breakfast, making you a cup of coffee, coming to fill your water bottle, and then going to the restroom while you are now 15 minutes late getting to your classroom. Here's what I can tell you, and you can be mad all you want, but it is the facts. 99% of the time when a teacher is over ratio in the morning, it is because of another teacher messing around. Either they're late for work, and if you are an 8 o'clock teacher, unfortunately for you, it makes a huge difference. 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. are like, you gotta be there on time. If you're scheduled at 6:30 and you're running a few minutes late, normally it doesn't make that big of a difference. 7 o'clock, we have several people coming in and we have less kids. But at 8 o'clock, we lose 2 teachers for drivers. We lose a teacher that's covering the driver to walk next door. And a bulk of our kids show up between 7:45 and 8. On Friday morning when I opened, I had 3 classes at 8 o'clock that were over ratio. I am one person. 2 people were late. One of them wasn't late. She was in the building, but she was doing things that were not what her job was supposed to be. Coming in and visiting your friends, going in and talking to other people. Again, I want you to be friendly. I love all of that, but not at the expense of making other people wait. And then certainly not going to the room and going, I have 11, I have 11, I have 11. I'm only supposed to have 10 and I have 11. Well, that teacher's irritated because they just waited 20 minutes on you. So now she's going to the restroom and leaving you with them. Okay? Use the restroom and get your food and drink is step 2. Ready? Okay. Third, you ready? Take your own child to class. That happens before you clock in. If you walk your child down to class and you spend 15 minutes down there talking to them about their night and the funny thing that they did, and oh my goodness, you look at these pictures that we took last night, that's not work, okay? It has nothing to do with your job. Take them to class. I'm gonna use Bumblebees again. Carrie, every single morning when she walks in the door, she and I will talk first thing when I see her. Good morning, how are you? And she's taking Tucker to class before she does anything. Every single morning, she walks straight in to drop Tucker off. I realize Tucker's class is at the front of the building, but when he was in toddlers and when he was not really in infants much, it was the same thing, okay? Take your own child to class, then come and sign in, okay? So now we're gonna go greet parents, use the restroom, take my child to class, sign in. Next thing that's gonna happen, every single day, and I just ordered new ones again, pick up your walkie. If you go to pick up, check it, even if you're like, oh, I'm the 7:30 teacher and I'm the third teacher in the classroom and they were here before, check it anyway. The amount of times that I have to walk around and say, do you have your walkie? And I just ordered new ones again. Guys, these walkies are supposed to be lasting a lot longer than they do. They get dropped a lot. Teachers let kids handle them. Teachers leave them outside. Again, comes back to pride. Have your walkie, use it for what it's supposed to be used for. Make sure you have it when you go down to class, okay? Right now, we are on channel 6, okay? Channel 6. If that changes, I will let you know. All right, that's it. That's all you gotta do in the morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I know you're gonna mean it if it's a Monday morning, especially. I'm gonna run to the restroom. I'm gonna get my food and drink. I'm gonna take my child to class. Now I've signed in, I picked up my walkie, and I'm heading to class. And I'm here at 8 o'clock, which is my start time. Or I'm here at 7 o'clock, which is my start time. I know it's hard. I have a 16-year-old teenage boy. He does not love mornings. Okay? I get it. I get it. All right. Same thing. Important for you to know. What do you do when you leave the building? All broken down for you. Ready? Close out my room. And we went over what closing out your room looks like. Take out my trash. You should get paid to take out your trash. I don't expect you to do it. I see a lot of you do it when you're walking out to your cars, and I get it, but please don't feel like you have to do that. You are certainly welcome to stay clocked in to take out your trash. Here's a big one. Big one. Ask an office person if I am needed anywhere else or if my room needs checked. This should be happening every single day. The amount of you guys who will say, it's 3:56. Hey, it's 3:56. Hey, I'm supposed to leave. It's 3:56. Okay, well, it's not 4. You're a 4 o'clock person. It's not 4. Guys, honestly, I want you to think about how many times I've ever kept you late. Truly. And I also want you to think about how many times that you've asked me for something different, to leave early, to take off, and I've said no. It just hardly ever happens. Rarely ever. Okay? Ask an office person, is there anything else you need, or do you need to check my room? Return your walkie to your station. Tell parents, kids, and staff, have a good night on your way out. That's it. Close out my room. Take out my trash. Close out my room. Take out my trash. Ask a person if anything is needed or if my room needs checked. Return my walkie to the station. Tell parents and kids, staff to have a good night. You might want to make note of those things. Okay? All right. Moving on. I promise we're going to get through this. Okay. We are going to talk about things that we can and cannot do. Because I am seeing, and again, it goes back to our own personal opinions, our own personal preferences. What do I think should happen? What do I like? What do I think is important? Unfortunately for you, it's called Duncan Academy. I pay the bills. I make those rules. Here we go. Things we cannot do. Might want to have note of them. We cannot decide when a child potty trains. We cannot decide, you are too old to be in pull-ups. I am done with this. You are potty training. We are not the parents. I'm fully aware that we spend more time with some of these kids than their own parents, and I know that it's frustrating, but we cannot do it. We cannot decide when a child potty trains. We cannot decide when a child gives up their bottle. We cannot say they are 17 months and they are the only toddler in the toddler room that has a bottle, and they are not going to have it anymore. Now, I will talk about things we can do, but I want you to keep in mind, we cannot tell them they have to give up their bottle. That is not our decision to make. With that, we cannot decide when they have to give up their pacifier. We can say, oh my goodness, I can't hear you, or I can't understand you. And it happens a lot. I will tell you right now, my sister, I'm going to use my sister in Georgia. My sister has been really working with trying to get Georgia to only use her pacifier at bedtime. Toddler teachers are so great about it because they have them hung up during the day. And they will tell you, I will come in to get Georgia and spend a few minutes with her. And the first thing she says to me when she sees me is, BB, because she wants to chew on that binky. And her toddler teachers are trying to help her outgrow it. I am great with that. I absolutely understand that. But we can't take them away from them. And we can't say, you can't have it. We can only have it at nap time. We can limit when we have it. We're not using that right now. But also, guys, I want you to think about this. There is few things worse than a toothache. A toothache is just miserable. Think about your gums splitting open and teeth actually growing in and how painful that has to be. That is why they bite. That is why they chew on their shirts. That is why, a toothache is so sore. And a lot of times those binkies will help them just soothing and chewing, okay? Same thing with ear infections. Again, I'm gonna use Georgia. That girl she's on her second set of tubes. She's had her adenoids out and she's only 18 months old. She gets horrible reoccurring ear infections. And one of the things that the doctor told my sister is the sucking motion. Now, when she's laying down, they said sometimes the sucking motion adds pressure and it hurts. But when she's upright, the sucking motion releases pressure off of this area and it helps her and it doesn't hurt as bad, okay? We cannot force children to change themselves. We cannot be like, you pooped your pants and you're 5 years old and that's disgusting. You're going to clean yourself up. Nope. Now, what we can say, and if you are a Bumblebee teacher or if you've worked with Bumblebee teachers, they will say, you can do this. I will be here to help you. One of the things that I know that Carrie does is she will say sorry, Carrie, I know you probably feel like I'm picking on you in the Bumblebees, but that's just that transitional age. She will say, okay, we went poop, that's great. You're gonna try to wipe yourself a couple of times and then Miss Carrie will go in and help you. She is helping to teach them independence. That is different than go into that stall and change yourself. Go into that stall, you're covered in poop, you clean it up. Not the same things. Not the same. Okay? We cannot force them to change themselves. Here's a big one because I'm seeing it happen with recess. We cannot take away recess. Can't do it. Can't do it. It is a Missouri state law. We cannot take away recess. We cannot remove it. And here's the thing, guys. Recess is huge. The thing about recess is that they need it. They need it as an outlet for their emotions. They need it as an outlet for their energy. They need it as an outlet for their development. It is, I am sure, frustrating for a child to get in trouble over and over and over and over, and then be like, you get to go out and run around at recess and play and nothing is gonna happen. Now, here is what you can do. You can say, I'm really sorry that you made those choices this morning. So you're gonna spend the first 5 minutes of your recess walking with me. You're gonna be my helper and you're gonna walk around with me. Not you're gonna run laps, not you're gonna do push-ups. We cannot inflict any kind of physical punishment. That goes along with what we cannot do. But they don't have, that doesn't mean that they also get to just run around. Here's the other thing, guys. Sitting on the bench is not the same. The whole point of this is getting them the release that they need, okay? You'll need to be up, moving around, walking around, making sure everybody's good. The houses are gone. That's no longer a safety concern, okay? However, there are still blind spots in that playground. And the only way to see those is to make sure that you are moving around and walking around and keeping everybody safe, okay? You cannot force a child to lay down who doesn't normally sleep. If a child is in the wake room and they are not making good decisions or good choices, then we will have to talk to parents and determine what we're going to do if we can't work something out. But we can't say, you're going to nap because you did this. We are not allowed to use napping or sleeping as a punishment, okay? Same thing with eating. We cannot take snack away. We cannot say, you're not allowed to have this snack because you did not make a choice, a good choice. We do not need to raise a generation of girls who say, oh, I did something wrong, I'm not going to eat today. Oh, I failed my Spanish test, I'm going to starve myself. And that is what they're determining by making these laws. It sounds excessive. I didn't make these rules. These are state rules. All right, here are things we can do. So let's take these can'ts and let's turn them into can'ts. Here's things we can do, okay? We can talk to parents and come up with a plan to help children potty train. We can go to parents and say, hey, listen, I know that it is hard. I get it. I understand that you have a lot going on. However, your child can't move to the Bumblebee class until they are potty trained. And I don't want them to fall behind. Here are some things that we can do to help you. If you say, if you're like, I don't know what we can do to help them, or I don't know how to help them, again, Google, but I will happily print off resources for you. Do you know how many teachers have asked me for resources? It happens all the time. Literally, it happens all the time where teachers will message me and be like, Allie, how should I approach this? Or Allie, what do you think about this? Aaliyah does 25 to 40 parent-teacher conferences a year, and she's done it for the last 10 plus years. So let's just on the low end say she's done 300 parent-teacher conferences, but yet she will literally come to me and say, I'm just letting you know, here is what I'm going to discuss, and they're probably not going to like it, and it's probably not going to go over well. Will you look at this for me? Okay? All right. Discuss with parents that a child must be taught. We just talked about that, Bumblebee class. Talk to parents and create a plan for transitioning from a bottle to a cup. Your child is 20 months old and they're still having a bottle, and they're our only kiddo in class that has a bottle, and I understand that it's really hard, but let's look and see what can we do to get them from this bottle to this cup. Guys, some of these conversations are not great and you don't love having them. You don't have to. Give it to me. I'm happy to do it. Give it to me and let me have that conversation. I am happy to do it. But also, I need to be in the loop about it. It's very hard when a parent comes to me and says, Miss Crystal said that we had to give the bottle up, and so we tried to do it all weekend, and she hasn't slept in 48 hours, so good luck with her today. And me be like, whoa, I didn't even know that happened. She's only 10 months old, okay? All right. We can talk to parents about the need for a pacifier being reduced to an app time only. If no conversation's happening, if we are not getting speech and language, if we are not communicating, or we're communicating and we can't understand them because they're talking behind that binky, that would be a reason we need to move from the pacifier, okay? Let's have that conversation. We are allowed to talk to them about it, but ultimately it's not our decision. Yvette just had a situation, and Emily has a situation where there are some children that with sensory issues, they have oral fixations, they may need pacifiers or bottles longer than other kids. Shakaylee right now has a medical diagnosis. She has that binky in her mouth all day long. Do I think that she needs the binky all day long? No, I really don't, but I'm not her doctor, and that is not my decision to make. We have a doctor's note saying, let her have the binky all day long, so that's what we do. Her mom can, in later years, address speech concerns or delays. Okay. Help children and help teach children how to become more independent. Working toward changing their own clothes, working toward putting their own shoes on, working toward using the restroom on their own, working toward wiping themselves. I'm gonna use an example right now. Another bumblebee, Declan. He will just flop on the ground. I can't do it. I can't do it. He's screaming, he's yelling, I can't do it. It takes 2 seconds to do something that they absolutely know that he can do and he's done 100 other times. But guess what? That's worked for him. At home, if he screams and yells and throws himself on the ground and says, I can't do it, what happens? Mom is like, just give me the shoes. We've got to go. I'm gonna be late. So now Declan has learned, if I yell, if I throw myself on the ground, if I cause a scene, I'm going to not have to do this on my own. It's going to be done for me, right? Okay. I think I already put, snack, food, sleep cannot be used as punishments. Okay. Here is the other thing that I want to address with the required things in your classroom. Access to them is not the same as having them in your room. If you have toys hidden or put away that kids cannot access, they don't count in your toys, okay? Absolutely, you should have sections of books that the kids do not rip up, tear up, have in your library. Absolutely, 100%. But you have to have a certain amount of each of these things that are accessible to the children. So if it is put away, if it is up in a closet, if it is out of their line of vision, it is not accessible, okay? There is a certain amount that you are required to have. Guys, if books are torn up, just get rid of them. Just throw them away. Don't tape it. I'm not kidding. I bet I could get 100 books donated a month if I wanted to. Downstairs, the amount of endless books that we have in boxes. I had a staff member a month ago post on our Facebook page, I'm looking for books for my classroom. Why? Why are you doing that? We have tubs and tubs and tubs and tubs and tubs of books. Is that going to possibly take some time on your part to go through and see what books are good for my classroom and what books do I want? Yes. Rotate them out. Also, if you keep the same, if you're a monkey teacher and you have 32 books in your room and it's the same 32 books all year, are they going to stay engaged with those books? No. Obviously, reading and repetition with the same books over and over and over is fabulous. Absolutely. But also introduce new books. Rotate those books out, or how often they're used to keep them engaged in making them. Okay? All right. I'm going to talk about the app for a minute. There are some of you who don't know, and again, this is why I'm doing this employee handbook, because things have gotten away from us. You are supposed to approve messages sent in the app, okay? There's 2 reasons for this. One, it is, again, very hard if a parent comes to me and says, I got a message in the app that my child needs picked up. She's vomited 3 times, so that's why I'm here. And I know nothing about it. You should be going to the office, and whoever's in the office saying, hey, I'm sending this child home. I put a message in the app. Obviously, if they're sick, we probably know, or if they're injured. But as an example, you should be sending messages home, or you should be approving with us before you send messages home. But here's the other thing. You're not going to like it, and I just don't care. It is my face and my name on all of those messages that get sent. And I do that to protect you. I do that so parents don't come to you and be like, I saw the message that you put in the app and I don't appreciate you saying that Declan doesn't know how to get dressed on his own. I want the fallback to be on me, and I want to be able to support you, so my name is on it. But here's the problem with that. I was an English teacher before I did this, and some of your guys' grammar and spelling is atrocious. It's okay. We live in text world. We use text language, so we abbreviate, and sometimes, and over time especially, we forget grammar rules. We forget spelling. Some of us never really learned it. I have a 21-year-old boy who is an honor student who makes the dean's list, and he cannot read a single word of cursive. He was never taught it. It absolutely drives me batty, but it's not his fault. It's fine. Kids don't have to learn to spell anymore because of spell check, but the app isn't giving you spell check, okay? I can think of 2 times in the last week that messages are sent home, and I literally was cringing at how the spelling and grammar looked. The messages were kind, it was to the point, they were effective, but the spelling and grammar, and you don't want a parent mocking us or making fun of that, okay? It doesn't matter if it's your strength. It's okay. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses, all of us, every single one of us. But I'm not joking. I literally, and I'm gonna tell you exactly who the parent was because I know you won't care. Matt Moore and his wife. Matt Moore is a preschool dad, and his wife is a psychologist, preschool mom. He runs very successful websites. They are very intelligent people. When I tell you that Matt Moore screenshot for me the conversation between him and his wife and sent it to me about how bad they were laughing and making fun of the things that were written in the app because of the spelling and grammar, it was cringy. It was cringy. But also, sometimes we write things and we don't notice. Jen Giles sent a mass text out last year telling everybody that they learned about winter anal. Nobody learned about winter anal in preschool. They did learn about winter animals, but that is not the same thing. Let somebody else's eyes be on it. Nobody wants anal in preschool, except for Max. All right, proving what you know. Okay, next thing that we're gonna do. We're gonna get off some of this deep stuff, thank goodness, and we're gonna go to a little bit better stuff. Okay, this year, Duncan is celebrating their 20th birthday. July 25th of this year will be Duncan's 20th birthday. Guys, Duncan has been open longer than some of you have been alive. This has been my heart, my soul, my home for 20 years. I am going big on this thing, okay? So I feel like not an egotistical person. I feel like I'm a pretty modest and humble person, but this year I choose not to be. This year, the theme for the 20th birthday is Allison in Wonderland, because literally for 20 years, I have been Allison in Wonderland in my building and in my home. And I am so excited and I cannot wait to celebrate it. But I want to talk about it a little bit because it is going to affect you with things that we're going to be doing. We're going to have our normal Spirit Week like we always have. We're going to have our normal carnival like we always have. I'm going to switch the water slide that we normally have on Carnival Day to a different day that week, because that way we can still face paint and we can do some other activities on Carnival Day, and we can do a dunk tank and a water slide on a different day. Okay, so those will be 2 different days that week. I also have Reggie Gray, who when I opened 20 years ago, he was at our very first birthday. So 19 years ago would have been our first birthday. He did the magic show for our very first birthday. He is phenomenal. He is coming that week to do our 20th birthday. The Friday of our 20th birthday, we will be closing at 4 p.m. and we will be having a 20th birthday house, open house and ice cream social. Initially, I was going to do it at the park because we have little kids. And I thought, well, that'll be a great thing to do. We'll have it at the park. Well, you know, the kids can play. But going back over 20 years, I want some of our kids to be able to come back and visit. So I'm actually going to have it at Dunkin'. I'm going to have a dessert food truck or a Kona ice truck, and I'm going to have a food truck. So parents can do that and kids can do that. We're going to have a bounce house outside for some of our smaller kids. So, I mean, we have things going on. But I want all of our families to be able to come back and our kids to come back and see their classrooms. I'm hoping that we will be able to get a lot of the teachers that used to work to come back and be in their rooms, so we can be like, this was our very first preschool teacher, and this is our current preschool teacher, okay? I'm hoping to make this a huge celebration. So on that Friday, July 25th, it does show that we close at 4 o'clock, but you're not leaving. We are going to have it open from 4 to, well, we're going to have it starting at 5. It's going to be from like 5 to 7. I'm not going to make it super late. I'm not going to make it super long. But I do want our families to be able to come back. So all kids will be gone by 4. We will reopen our building from 5 to 7 for like this 2-hour open house. And I can't wait to do it. It's going to be a phenomenal day. I'm so excited about it. Also along that lines, if you are watching this and you have pictures throughout the year, please, please, please send them to Nikki or I, because I want to have a highlight reel of things going on for 20 years. Send me all the things. The next thing is, sorry, I'm shaking my head to my kid. The next thing is you have several pieces of paper. One of them, you've hopefully made some notes on things that I have said were important. And this you're going to get from me this next week. But on a separate sheet of paper right now, you are going to write in your summer schedule. And this is what the paper needs to look like. So you follow directions because you've done this. Ready? The top of the paper, I feel like I'm teaching my middle schooler kids again. Write 2025 summer schedule. So that'll be the first thing you're going to write. The next thing that you're going to write is your name. The next thing that you're going to write is your preferred class. So my top 3 choices, okay? This needs to go for everybody. Even if you are a teacher who never leaves the room and they always stay in the same place, just give me your 3 choices. I like to know if you weren't in your room where you would be. It's just interesting to me. So do me a favor and let me know your top 3 choices. You can absolutely put on there a floater. You can absolutely put like, I just want to give breaks. I just want to let teachers go to the restroom. I just want to cover teachers' days off. I just want to go wherever I'm needed. You can put cook. You can put any absolute single thing that you want. You can put, I'm coming for Nikki's job. It's fine. Absolutely. She's shaking her. Whatever. Okay. The next thing that you're going to put, so you've put your summer schedule, 2025 summer schedule. You've put your name. You've put your preferred class. The next thing you're going to write is summer availability. So what does my summer look like? Can I only work Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Can I work Tuesday, Thursday? Can I work any hours, any days of the week? Can I only work 1 to 6? We close at 5:30. What does my summer availability look like? Okay. The next thing that you're going to write is, this is in a perfect world. So don't think I wrote it down, it means it's going to happen. My preferred summer schedule. Is my preferred summer schedule with Wednesdays off, working 4 10s, and those are 7 to 5? Is my preferred schedule Mondays off and I work part-time Tuesday through Friday? What does my, in a perfect world, summer schedule look like? Okay? So you're going to give me your availability first, and then if I do everything that I'm supposed to do and Allie is going on priority based on my performance and I'm the fourth person, I'm going to get the fourth best schedule. That's what that is, okay? And then the last thing that you're going to write is days that you need off this summer that you have not previously requested. So I know that I need off the week of 4th of July because my family's going to the lake. I know that I need off August the 2nd because I have a dentist appointment. What is your days off that you need this summer? That is the only thing that should be on that piece of paper. And that needs to be turned in to me when you turn in the other things to get credit for this training or this meeting, okay? Okay. Next thing, I know we're going, but I'm trying to get through this. All right, next thing. Why do you get moved rooms? I've talked to 2 teachers recently about this, and both of them, I honestly felt super bad. And again, it goes back to my failures and wanting this, and this will be in the employee handbook. What is the reason that you get moved rooms? So let's say, I'm going to take it for example, Haley. Let's say you're Haley and you have been in preschool all day, and the afternoon comes at 3 o'clock and my afternoon younger girls come in and Haley gets moved rooms. That is not being disciplined. That is not, let's take her out of her room because she's in trouble. That's actually a benefit. That is actually not a benefit, sorry. That is actually a compliment. That is us saying, Haley not only is valuable to preschool, but if we have somebody who can only work in preschool because they need to work with other people, we know that Haley can go into the twos room or the toddler room and she can be valuable there, okay? A person who is valuable in multiple rooms is so valuable, right? A person who can say, hey, I know that we are shorthanded this afternoon and you are going to have to cover this room. I am happy to cover this room because I can do this one on my own, right? That is why you would get moved rooms for the day. This is different than if you get changed your classroom. What would be a reason that you would get changed classes? If you have been a monkey teacher for the last 3 years and then all of a sudden you're no longer a monkey teacher, we need to be talking, because that means either you are struggling with your coworkers and they have come to me and said, I am not willing to, or I cannot work with this teacher anymore, or you are not in the right age group. You are struggling with an age group. Either you don't have the patience for that age group, either you are more comfortable, or we're more comfortable with you being with a different age group, or we're saying, hey, we really hate to let this person go. They bring a lot to us. However, they're not being successful in the room that they're in. Let's try them someplace else. That is not in the afternoon, or when we're short, we're having you sub in a different room. Those are 2 entirely different things. I hope that you understand that, and certainly if you have questions on it, but I want to make you aware of it. With that being said, and I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but I don't care. I do not want my lead teachers switching rooms. I do not want my lead teachers. The other day I walked into class, and I know that this has been a thing with the bumblebees because my bumblebee teachers do not get there. Most days I don't have a bumblebee teacher until 8 o'clock in the morning. Aaliyah needs to be in the ladybug room. Those preschool parents, when they come in the morning, they want to talk to her, period. It is the way that it is. When you are the lead teacher, that is where you need to be, in your own room. Crystal, in the morning, if we need an infant teacher, Crystal does not need to go to the infant room. Crystal needs to be in the toddler room for the toddler parents to discuss with her anything that they might need to discuss, period. Sorry guys, that's just the way that it is, okay? Again, you can argue your point with me. I am happy to hear you out. I am respectful of your opinion, but it's not going to change mine. Okay. We talked about writing in the app. here's a big thing for me. And here's a big thing. And if you've been with me for any time, you already know the answer to this. But when a parent asks you a question and you don't know the answer, what do you do? What do you do? You ready for the words? There's 4 of them. Let me find out. Let me find out. Happens to me. A parent will come to me and say, hey, I told Ashley Tuesday, February the 3rd, that we needed so-and-so's diet to change. And did that occur? And I have to say, let me find out if I don't know. We've talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and talked about communication notebooks. We talk about it all the time, and still I don't see communication notebooks in those rooms. And I understand. I know what happens. You guys text each other. You guys put things in the app. But again, if someone comes in to cover your classroom for 5 minutes, that you're going to the restroom and they come in to cover your room for 5 minutes, and a parent comes in and says, can you tell me why this and this happened? And you're able to look in the notebook and go, oh, it says right here, it happened this time, and this is why. It's so helpful. Okay? All right. Let me find out. That's it. Let me find out. Okay. Here is the next thing that is going to be due for this, for the meeting. Okay? Emergency plans. What is an emergency plan? What do you need included? Where do you go for a fire, for a tornado, for an earthquake, for an active shooter? Where do we go? What does that look like? What do you need to take with you? And how often should you be practicing? Okay? We do not have to practice, and we shouldn't practice drills as a whole building all the time. In your classrooms, you should practice these weekly. I went ahead and did a little thing, and I'm going to post it. It's going to go in the employee handbook, and we're going to talk about it. Have a schedule. And guys, here's the thing. It takes up time too. Every Monday at 10 a.m., we're going to do a fire drill, guys. Every single Monday, we're going to do a fire drill at 10 a.m. Your kids know it. Your subs know it. Your assistant teachers know it. Every Monday at 10 a.m., you guys do a fire drill, period. Okay? Are your kids going to be freaked out or scared when you talk about a fire drill if you're doing it every Monday at 10 a.m.? Ready? Read them the books. We have Pippin's First Fire Drill. Read him a book about the fire drill. Read him a book about what happens. Read him a book about what it looks like to go outside, okay? There are lots of helpful information in here. There's a little answer guide. Why did Pippin get scared by the fire alarm? How did he overcome his fears? If you were an animal, what would you be? School age, this would be a great thing for them to do. They do them at school, but they haven't done them at Duncan because they come early in the morning and they're in the afternoon. So if they're not there on a non-school day or in the summer, they haven't done them. Easy thing to do. Everybody clean up 5 minutes before we normally leave for the vans. Let's do a fire drill. Everybody clean up 5 minutes before we leave for the vans. Let's do a tornado drill. If it's a tornado drill, ready? Wait for it. My first tornado. The sky's big surprise. Okay? You can read the book about the tornado drill. If you did a tornado drill, which according to my thing, every Wednesday, you talked about it, you read the book every Wednesday, and you take them downstairs, are they scared and are they prepared for a tornado drill? We have been in the basement before. We have been in the basement where parents have come because the alarms are going off, and I've had to tell parents, you cannot take your child. You're welcome to leave in this storm, but you cannot take them. They have to stay here with us, okay? It does happen. I don't know if you guys know the name Corey Bolger, but Corey Bolger is a mother in Blue Springs, And she had 3 children, a husband, a mom, a brother, a stepdad. And one of Corey's best friends is Amanda Doomers, which is Cora and Canaan's mom. And Corey and her husband, it was one of Natalie and Grace and Max and Reese's dad's best friends in high school. They went to visit Corey's mom in Iowa, and a tornado struck. It took 6.5 hours to get Corey out of the debris. She had a broken pelvis and 2 broken legs. And in between her broken legs and on her broken pelvis laid her dead daughter. Her son also died in that tornado. Her husband also died in that tornado, and her mother also died in that tornado. She lost her mom, her husband, and 2 of her 3 children that day. It happens, guys. It's real. Let's do what we can to make this easier and make this better for them, okay? So we're doing our tornado drill and we're reading our tornado book. Next one. On Tuesdays, school shooter drill. It's the worst thing that there is. I understand it. I know. Can we ever prepare for it? No. Will I die in that front office, that front area, before I would let anyone get back to you? Absolutely. There's no hesitation. Absolutely no hesitation. I will do everything that I can. There are slide things across your doors. However, we are getting an upgrade. The school district is going to provide things that go on the bottom. It's been quite a few months, about 3 or 4 months since I ordered, but he said it takes about 6 months. And then those will be installed in every door. So in the case that there is a school shooter, those doors will be locked and you do your best to keep your kids quiet. What does that look like? This is called The Elephant in the Room, a lockdown story. And this is basically talking to kids about what they may hear. And it's absolutely disgusting. Like, look, pop, hiss, pop. They're hearing loud noises and everyone is racing to the window, right? This is the reality of our lives. So, also in addition to that is this book called I'm Not Scared, I'm Prepared, because I know all about Alice. And Alice, if you don't know, is basically for kids, a way for them to, and for us as teachers, to know in what order to do things. A stands for alert, L stands for lockdown, I stands for inform, because we have to tell others. C stands for counter, so stop and look and listen to what our teacher has to say. And E stands for evacuate, which means that we leave the building and run away, okay? When faced with danger, you must do something. So it's very sad. It's a book about a wolf and sheep, and the wolf is the school shooter, and it's not good. But this is the reality that we live in. And again, we are very fortunate to have the fire department right around the corner from us. But make this part of every day. Earthquake, they say you stand in a door frame. Obviously, if it's 20 kids, you're not standing in a door frame. I think the safest thing for kids for an earthquake is to get them in the middle of the room away from anything that could fall on them. That's basically what we do. So we all sit in the middle of the room so that we can be safe, huddled together. We're staying away from any debris that might fall on us, okay? Okay, let's see. Next thing that we're gonna go over is, with that comes a safety plan and your emergency bags. And if you do not know what those are, you're about to learn, okay? All right. This is also going to go with you. Every class needs one, but every single teacher needs to be involved in the safety plan. And what the safety plan is what actions would be taken, what sorts of things will you take with you, and what does that look like? So basically how we're going to, let's just say, for instance, if there's a school shooter, what does our plan look like? What does it look like when we stay in the building? We lock the doors, we keep the kids quiet. What does it look like if we have to be we want to try to get out of the building? We shove them out the windows. We stick them out the doors, anywhere that we can to get them as far away from we can. And where do we go? We go to Prairie Branch. They're our safe school. We are theirs. Okay? So that's what the safety plan looks like. With the safety plan goes an emergency bag. Okay? What happens with your emergency bag? What needs to go in it? Ready? You might want to write these down. In your emergency bag, diapers, and they need to be labeled. If you've ever tried to change a diaper in Yvette's class, every single diaper, not the bin, not the container, not the package, every single diaper has the child's initial on it. So what that does for Yvette is if a child comes into her, or a sub comes into her classroom and Christian needs changed, they know exactly this is Christian's diaper because it says CK. So I know that Christian's diaper is going on Christian because it is initialed. Every single child that wears diapers needs to have in your emergency bag a diaper or two. Honestly, I would do two if possible. And they need to be labeled. Is it a big deal if we're downstairs for a tornado and Georgia is wearing Ollie's diaper? Is someone going to care? No. But it's not that big of a deal. Put a couple of diapers in each bag and do it. Wipes. This is for everybody, not just kids of diaper changing age. Everybody needs wipes because we have no idea what that's going to look like. We have no idea if we go downstairs for a tornado and our building implodes on us and it takes hours to get us out, what that's going to look like, what they're going to have to walk through, what they're going to have to. Everybody needs wipes. Band-Aids. Everybody needs Band-Aids in their thing. This is going back to, so Nikki got for everybody, and you need to make sure that you're in your emergency bags, a box of Band-Aids for every bag, and a thing of triple antibiotic cream for everybody. Okay? So in your emergency bag, you might want to have note of this: diapers, wipes, Band-Aids, and antibiotic cream for everybody. Okay? Bottles for infants, and they need to be labeled. So if a parent says, how many bottles do I need to leave here? If Lizzie and Christy, I always say 2 and 1 for our emergency bag. So 3 bottles need to be brought to Duncan. We need to have 3 bottles at Duncan. 2 for us to rotate during the day as they're being sanitized and cleaned, and 1 to go in our emergency bag labeled. The thing with for you guys is you have to keep up with that bag as babies rotate out and new ones come in. Okay? Formula slash breast milk labeled. Just use a Ziploc baggie, put some of their formula in a Ziploc baggie, label it like this is a 6 ounce and Mila on it. That's all you got to do. So we know that if we go downstairs, we have enough for a 6 ounce bottle for Mila. Okay. Bottled water. We have bottled water stored downstairs, and we will have bottled water stored downstairs. But if you could have a few things of bottled water, it goes back to, let's say that we have a fire and we're waiting 2 hours outside for everybody to get picked up and it's July and it's hot. People are going to bring us things, but just as an example, okay? Here's the biggest thing. And I would say that if I checked emergency bags today, 90% of you don't have this. You must have a copy of every child's enrollment form in your emergency bag. So the form that the office gets, you don't normally have. You need a copy of that in your emergency bag. This is not a recommendation. This is now a state requirement. Let me tell you why the enrollment form is important. I one time said to a state lady a couple of years ago, why in the world? She wrote me up and cited me because a parent on their emergency contact wrote a grandparent's name and a grandparent's phone number, and on the address, it just said something like Boulder, Colorado, but there was no address. And I said to the state lady, and she wrote me up because there wasn't a specific address. And I said to the state lady, why would I ever need an emergency contact's address? What would I ever do with that? Why is that important? And what she said will stick with me forever. She said that when the Joplin tornado hit, I want to say 36, but I could be wrong, 36 children that were in daycares did not get picked up by parents at pickup that night because they were deceased. The phone lines are not working, so they cannot call. And when they're going to trying to drive kids to their homes, some of the streets don't even have street signs. So there are children that have parents that didn't show up. Now they're trying to get a hold of emergency contacts. Okay? That may mean getting them to authorities and authorities having to drive them places. But that was the reason, is the amount of children who didn't get picked up from daycare on the day of that tornado, which is terrifying. But that is the reason we have to have emergency contact information, which means copies of enrollment form. That enrollment form is going to tell us if that child has a food allergy. Let's just say, for instance, who is the slowest person in our building?
Like kid-wise?
No, teacher-wise. Who is the slowest person in our building? Let's have some fun with this. Who's the slowest teacher in our building? Who do we say, for the love of God, come on? Dang it. All right, well, let's just say it's me. It's a fire drill. It's a fire, not a drill. This is not a drill. It is a fire. I do not make it out of the fire. I know that Sutton is allergic to eggs. By the way, I did not know that. But her teachers don't know that. Okay? But if they have a copy of her forms, it's on it. Okay? Does that make sense? You gotta have the forms. The things that people, like, if they say, well, can't we just check the ProCare app? We may not have access to Wi-Fi. Think about the times that the ProCare app has been down and you've not been able to access kids' information. Okay? You have to have the enrollment forms in your emergency bag. You have to have enrollment forms in the vans. And it cannot be, I only have the enrollment forms in the van for Matthews because I don't ever take Snai and Stony in this van. Because what if something happens to the van for Matthews and we have to drive those kids in the Snai Stony van? We have to have them. Okay? Specialized instruction forms if needed. Let's just take, for instance, Friday. Friday, Aaliyah was off. Friday, Jessica Brockman had a funeral. Friday, Jen's husband went to the hospital for pneumonia. Fortunately, Haley led the class during that time and knew what to do. But let's just take for granted that Haley was not there that day, and we had to put somebody else in there who is not normally in there. And an emergency happened. Does that person know that information? If it's in their emergency bag, we don't have to stress about it. Okay? Your emergency bags have to be checked off by me to get credit for this meeting. Okay? So, your equipment list, your summer schedule, and your emergency bags are the three things so far that need to be checked off by me to get credit. Okay? All right. We're going to talk just a few minutes about supervision, because I think that some of you think that what you're doing is supervising, and it's not. If you are in the bathroom with one child inside the bathroom, even if the door's open, and I'm going to say, let's say you are in Megan's Dragonfly class and the door is open and you are changing a child or watching a child in the bathroom and the other kids are playing on the other side of the door. Is that adequate supervision? Nope. If somebody got hurt, how would you know? How would you know? If you are inside the bathroom with a child and you cannot see the other kids, that is not adequate supervision. The reason that that's important is if something was to happen, a child was to choke, a child was to fall and have a significant injury, the first thing that state is going to do is come in and watch the cameras and say, you were not adequately supervising, therefore you are liable. I'm not liable, you are. I'm going to be punished, but you're liable. Okay? If you are a toddler teacher and you are outside that gate and you are washing cups when you are supposed to have 4 kids of your own. Is that supervision? Nope, you have no idea what's happening behind you. I'm gonna pick on toddlers for a minute because I see it happen all the time. If you are a toddler teacher and you are standing in the middle shelves and you are entering things in the app or doing something on your phone and everyone is behind you, is that adequate supervision? Nope. If you are a toddler teacher and you are standing at that shelf talking to the teacher on the other side and she's facing you, are either one of you adequately supervising your kids? Nope. Okay? If you are not adequately supervising them, it is your liability, guys. My responsibility, but your liability. Okay? All right. Here's a question, and it's happened 2 times in the last month. Why are we arguing with parents? What would ever be a reason in a million years that you could justify arguing with a parent? Do you know that we work for them? I'm gonna give you an example of, we just did tax forms, okay? On average, parents pay between $12,000 and $16,000 a year for their kids to come to Duncan, okay? We work for them. We work for them. If their kids don't come, you aren't needed, we don't get paid. Okay? Why are we arguing with them? They're my boss. Those parents are my boss. It's embarrassing for you as a teacher. It's embarrassing for me as an administrator. It's embarrassing for Duncan's reputation. And also, what are you accomplishing? What are you trying to accomplish? Stop doing it. Just stop doing it. If a parent does something that is going to create an argument, send them to the office, period. Aaliyah had a parent-teacher conference last week. I had already prefaced and spoke to the parents about how the child was not kindergarten ready. The child's birthday is in late July and it's a boy, so he will be the youngest in the class, and we already know how immature boys are, so they need to not be the youngest in the class. The parents came in and Aaliyah gave them multiple examples of why this child is not prepared for kindergarten. And the parents' response was, it's okay, they can repeat kindergarten if needed, and even first grade. Their cousins had to repeat kindergarten because they weren't ready either. But we're sending them anyway. What would Aaliyah have accomplished by arguing with them and saying, but I told you they're not ready, but I'm saying that they need to stay? Nothing. They have made up their mind. You are not going to change it. Do not argue. Aaliyah was like, okay, well, here's the information. I hope that you do what's best for him. Don't set him up for failure. Good luck. They are setting him up for failure. They're not doing what's best for him, but they are the parents, and that is not our decision to make. Okay. If a child is handed to you in the morning, anytime during the day, but it happens most in the morning, that is not in your class, what should you do? What should you do? Want me to tell you? Nothing. You take them. You greet them. You comfort them. You tell whoever's dropping them off that doesn't know what they're doing, often dads, often grandparents, often somebody that doesn't normally bring them, have a great day. She's gonna be fine. I promise we'll get her to where she needs to be. That's it. There isn't anything else that's acceptable. Nothing. Do not tell a toddler parent they're not in the toddler room, or a toddler teacher, do not tell a parent they're not in the toddler room anymore, they're in the twos. Just take them and go, I'll get them to their new room for you. Period. Sometimes they need reminded and they're like, oh gosh, I forgot. They started a new room on Thursday. Sometimes the parent is not ready. The kid is fine. You could drop them off in the twos and they have no problem, but the parent is not ready. I don't know how long it was, but it was just in the last year that Crystal had toddler parents or twos parents still dropping their kids off in the toddler room because they needed that safety. They needed the child's not going to scream and cry when I drop them off, and that's going to make me feel horrible, and it's going to ruin my morning, and I'm going to cry the whole way to work. You've got to be welcoming. You've got to be comforting. You've got to be loving. You've got to welcome them all. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's the only acceptable answer. Okay? All right. If you want to get paid for holidays and snow days, your training has to be current. That means if it's November, you should have 10 hours. If you have 10 hours this year, but you didn't have any hours last year, all your 10 hours are gone because the state now takes them and puts them for the year before. And if you owed for the year before that, they take those. All your work requirements need to be met. It has to be a day that you normally work. So if you're off Mondays and Monday's a snow day, you wouldn't get paid because then I would be paying double the amount of teachers, okay? It is absolutely, you are absolutely able to get paid for holidays and snow days, but you absolutely have to do the requirements to do so. Okay? This will be in your employee handbook. We're almost done, guys. I'm making my way. All right. We are going to talk about nap time. I got sent a TikTok video the other day, and I'm a TikTok fan if you don't know it, of teachers at a daycare and what their nap time routine looks like. And their nap time routine was every single day during nap time, the whole building was clean restrooms. They were sweeping the hallways. They were cleaning the light switches. They were cleaning toys. They were doing all the things during the whole entire nap time. That is not what we're doing. I'm not taking your whole nap time away from you. I do believe wholeheartedly that you guys do need downtime. Absolutely. Just like the kids need a break, you need a break. However, some of you literally have 2 full hours, okay? So we have a nap time rotation of what it's going to look like for nap time. And based on this, it's about a 30-minute time frame of the 2 hours of nap time. If you go in to give a teacher a break, we are going to find out, has that nap time, has that occurred? What they're supposed to, their nap time activity occurred. Now, if you're a teacher and you go, oh, well, I won't have to do it. I'll just make the person that comes in and breaks me every day do it. No, that's not what's going to happen. Absolutely not. Because we're going to have set days for things to occur. Monday will be your plan day and your supply list made. Guys, I'm tired of running around trying to get people things last minute. Every single month, the Ladybugs give me a supply list and say, this is what we need for the whole month. And it's lovely and it's wonderful. The toddlers do it like by the week or every other week. Make a supply list and give them to us on Monday so we have the whole week for the next week to do it. But also plan out your activities. Go, okay, Allie posted in the app with the schedule on Sunday that next week's going to be Dr. Seuss week, and these are the activities that we're going to do. But I can do this, this, and this, and here's what I'm going to need. Plan day and supply list made on Mondays, and we're going to check them. On Tuesdays, spray and bleach the chairs and the tables. That's what's going to happen every single Tuesday. Go over the chairs, down the sides of the chairs, over the chairs, underneath the tables, around the corners of the tables. Every single Tuesday. Wednesday, spray and bleach the toys. Spray and bleach the toys. Lysol wipes do not count because they do not kill influenza. The Lysol spray does not count. You have to use the 3-step process for spraying and bleaching the items in your classroom. Thursday, newsletters. Guys, there we've gotten, again, off track where I'm not getting newsletters from some classrooms. I want every single classroom sending out monthly newsletters. On Thursday, you can either work on training hours, and we are working right now with another laptop to bring in that we can pass around so that if you have training hours that you need, we can say, okay, do this during nap time or whatever. Or that may be a day that we say, hey, we're decorating for next week, come and do this, okay? Or it may be, hey, we're getting ready for Alice in Wonderland, we need these flowers made. That'll be on Thursdays. Guess what? If we don't have a special activity, you've already done your newsletter and your training's current, you don't have to do it. Take the time. Fridays, we're spraying and bleaching toys again. It's happening 2 times. Tuesdays, because we did it on Friday, so we're good on Monday, and then we're doing it again on Friday because we went 2 days. Tuesdays and Fridays. This will be posted. Everyone will have this. We will make sure it's being done, period. Checks and balances, and we're gonna have to check you to make sure that this is being done. All right, we're on the home stretch. Do you know what your job is? Do you know what your job description is? Because I feel like sometimes, especially if like you're a floater, let's say you go to the Ladybug class and you're the third, okay? They have 2 teachers that are there consistently. They're the teachers all the time. You get added as the third teacher. What is your job? What should you be doing? Sometimes the teachers are so busy, they don't stop or have time, or honestly, sometimes it's just frustrating to them because it's rotating who's in there, to say, this is what I need from you. What is your job description? Okay, so you've made some notes that you're gonna turn in, and on that paper, you're gonna write to me, what do you think your job description is? What is my job description? Does my job description include updating the app? Does my job description include signing kids in and out? Does my job description include covering for this teacher on this day, this teacher on this day? What is my job description? And then I'm going to come in with you individually, and we're going to say exactly what your job description is, so that there is no question. If that is not being met, you knew exactly what your expectation was. What is your job description? I want you to tell me what your job description is, okay? All right, last page, are you ready to get paid for this meeting? Here we go. Complete the quiz that is about to occur and return it to me by 5:30 p.m. on Thursday. Complete the quiz and turn it in to me by 5:30 on Thursday. Number 2, turn in one thing you would like to see in the new employee handbook. That thing could be, it is more important to me to get a raise than it is to get a day off. It is more important to me to get a raise than for you buying us lunch twice a month. It is more important to me to get a raise than for you being flexible with my schedule. Like, I don't care. It could be, I'm tired of seeing teachers do this and I want it done. It could be playground. What does playground supervision look like? It could be the alarms on the doors. I don't care. But what is one thing that you want to ensure as an employee is in that handbook? Okay. Third thing, have Allie approve your emergency bag and your emergency plan by Thursday at 5:30. If you're not a lead, you can contribute to this by going to your lead teacher and saying, I can make copies of the enrollment forms, pull those copies and make them for you. I can get water bottles and make sure that they're in our bag. I could get some snacks and make sure that they're in our bag. I can get a bag and bring it in and label it for our classroom. I can label diapers for each child and put in this bag. You need to contribute to the emergency plan in some way, okay? That shows me that you are fully aware of what is occurring in an emergency and you know what to do, okay? The last thing is you're turning in your summer schedule form. So we have a quiz, something you'd like to see the employee handbook, having me approve your emergency bag and plan, and turning in the summer schedule form. Those are the 4 things that you need to get paid for this meeting that I have drug on for over 2 hours. Okay. No?
No, you're not getting that too yet.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pay you for 2 hours if you turn this all in. And it's not 7 hours long, so how about that? All right. Employee quiz. This should be your paper that you turn in. All right? You do not have to write the question. You only have to write the answer. The top of your paper should say, employee quiz. The next page, the next thing should say name. Employee quiz, name. Okay? Number 1, if you have a class of 3-year-olds outside, what is your outside ratio? If you have a class of 3-year-olds outside, what is your outside ratio? Here's the thing, guys. To get credit for the quiz, I am not looking for the right answer. I'm looking for your response. This quiz is not about the answers being right. If you say, I don't know the answer to this, that tells me we need to work on this, and that's something we need. So that's why I'm asking. If you have a class of 3-year-olds outside, what is your outside ratio? Give me a number, number 1. Number 2, if a parent hands you a child who's not in your class, what should you do? What should you do? Accept the child? Tell them they're in the wrong class? Tell them this is not my job? What should you do? It was discussed during the meeting. Number 3, how many times a day should children be offered milk? How many times should they be offered milk? Number 4, what is the ratio at nap time? What does nap time ratios look like? What are they? If you don't know, say, I don't know what nap time ratio is, because that tells me I need to come have a conversation and we can do it. And some of you will not know these answers, and that is okay. That is not how you get credit. Okay, number 5. Can I walk down the hallway to refill my water bottle or talk to a teacher and leave no one in my class if it is less than 1 minute? If I am in the Bumblebee class and I walk out to where the water fountain is and I refill my water bottle, and then I walk over to the Ladybug class and I tell the Ladybug something, and my kids are only unattended for 31 seconds, is that acceptable? Yes or no? It's a yes or no. That's it. Number 6, if I am changing diapers inside the bathroom and my students are in the classroom, is this considered adequate supervision? Yes or no? Number 7, is it okay for children to share tippy cups with a child who is absent or who is in another class? So let's say that we are in the toddler room and Georgia is absent this day, but someone who normally doesn't come on that day is here, so they are using Georgia's tippy cup that was washed the night before. Is that acceptable? Number 8, if you started working at Duncan Academy in August of 2024, how many training hours should you have in March of 2025? So you started August of 2024, which was the 8th month of the year, and we are now in March of 2025. How many training hours should you have as of March? Number 9, this is a hard one. How many classes, not how many hours, how many classes are required for all of our staff, regardless of what room you are in, to work at Duncan? The answer is not 12, just so you know. How many classes? Think about me saying a few months ago, and some of you, again, can say, I don't know, or please help me with this, or whatever. I had said the state subsidy people added 2 new required classes that we have to take at some point. What are the other ones? You don't have to name me each thing, but how many classes are required? Number 10, name one of Miss Allie's pet peeves. Name one of them. There's so many. There's so many. Name one of my pet peeves. If you don't know any of them, guys, don't ask your friends or ask each other. I want you to say, I don't know. Or like, because then it allows me to say, one of my biggest pet peeves is when teachers come down the hallway and set their trash down, and then they sit in the office and talk for 30 minutes, because I hate parents walking into bags of trash. Same thing with bags of trash that you take out at 4:30 and you leave at 5:30 and it's sitting in your hallway, or just sitting in your classroom and parents come in. That just gave you an example of one of my pet peeves. Trash being set around and not being taken out immediately. Leave it in your trash can until it's taken out. I cannot stand it. It just looks trashy. Okay, extra credit. Ready? Extra credit. What is happening July 25th of this year? What is happening July 25th of this year? If you answer number 11 and it is correct, don't share with other people, because the less people that answer right, the better chance you have. Everybody that gets this one right, I'm cutting off the bottom part of your paper, folding it all up, and then I will randomly draw one person, and that person is going to get a $50 gift card. What is happening 7/25 of 25? Okay? You should have 11 answers on your paper. You should have approved for me an emergency bag and a plan by Thursday night at 5:30. You should turn in one thing that you would want to see in the new employee handbook and complete the quiz. You guys have until Thursday at 5:30 to watch this video, get me your responses, and get your things approved. Just a couple of little last things. This June is our relicensing. So all training has to be current for you to stay at Duncan when they come. If it is not current, you won't be employed before they come, because I'm not going to let you get me counted off. Okay? I've done that before, and I'm sorry, but you have to be current before they come in June. Okay? There'll be multiple things that we'll talk about, but before state licensing comes, but you have to have all of your stuff ready so that we are ready when they come in June. Okay? If there are things that I haven't went over that you think need addressed, please, please, please come to me. If every single thing is done and you've got these turned in, then you'll get paid 2 hours for the meeting. If you are a new employee, I am making a separate video for you, and it'll get posted on the Duncan this Facebook page within the next week. So be on the lookout for that. I will let you know who you are if you need to watch that. But I think it would be super helpful to have a new employee video. I'm going to walk through Duncan and just show you where things are and helpful hints. And that way, until the employee handbook comes out, we've got that. So thank you guys all for sticking with me. Thank you for signing up for the Facebook page. Thank you for everything you do. I'm tired of talking. I'm out.